Tonight on Reporting Scotland, the cold spell continues with fresh weather warnings issued for snow and ice. More than 100 schools across Aberdeenshire, Moray and the Highlands were closed today because of the snow and poor road conditions.
Initially it was quite bad. The snow was wet and heavy to push. There is farmers do it off their own back with their neighbours and so on. Just make sure nobody's getting stuck and everybody can get out.
Temperatures in the northwest Highlands plummeted to -13 overnight, making it the coldest night of the winter so far. Also on tonight's programme. The First Minister says MSPs who fail to back his budget will be playing into the hands of Elon Musk and other populists. Opposition parties have described his claim as preposterous and accused him of populism.
Coming up in the sport, it could be the transfer saga of the January window, but both Celtic and Arsenal's managers refuse to discuss a potential return to Glasgow for Kieran Tierney.
You gotta be bad, you gotta be bold, you gotta be wiser.
And we hear from the community choir made up entirely of unpaid carers. Hello, I'm Laura Miller. Welcome to Monday's programme. It was the first day back to school for most pupils across the country today, but not for everyone. Snow in the northeast has seen dozens of schools remaining closed after the festive break. There's been disruption on the roads and the railways too, as temperatures overnight dropped to -13°, the lowest levels seen in the UK so far this winter. And there's a warning there's more cold weather on the way, as Louise Hosey reports.
Morning folks. Close to 5 inches of snow this morning.
This tractor driver in Dramoke in Aberdeenshire has been out since 4 a.m, helping to clear the fresh arrival of snow.
Initially it was quite bad. The snow was wet and heavy to push. There is farmers do it off their own back with their neighbours and so on. Just make sure nobody's getting stuck and everybody can get out. I have a camera outside my house and I generally have the alarm set for every hour and check and see how deep the snow is. If a board lies in my garden, I know when I see the board covered, it's maybe time to go out.
Days into the new year, Scotland's cold snap shows no sign of ending. At least 100 schools in Aberdeenshire and Moray were forced to close, giving many children due to return the chance for an extra snow day.
We've been making a very big snowman and I kind of made a bit big to head, so I can't really lift it, so I can't really do anything with it now. So we're just making the biggest snowman we can.
Sledding, playing with my dog and all that.
And how does that make you feel?
Fun and happy. We're going to be able to go skiing this weekend, so I'm really happy about that.
Being the end of the festive period, it's good for the kids to get back to school, so it's about time for that. But it is good to have the snow for the Lecht and Glen Shee, the local ski centres, to get some business. Hopefully some skiing at the weekend.
No, it's my day off, but it's brilliant because I get an extra day to play with the kids in the weather, so can't complain at all.
Parts of the Borders and Highlands were also affected. Driving conditions were tricky, with reports of some collisions and warnings to take care.
Make sure you've got a nice warm jacket, your mobile phone has got sufficient charge, and then from a vehicle perspective, make sure your tyres are sufficient tread and your vehicle's working correctly. We want you to get from A to B as quickly and painlessly as possible, so it's important to check in with Traffic Scotland as well.
The Highlands also recorded the coldest night of the winter so far in the UK, -13.3 degrees. People are being advised to take care on the pavements and roads due to the ice and snow. Tonight there are fresh warnings in place as the wintry weather continues.
Well, Louise is live in Westhill in Aberdeenshire tonight. And Louise, as you say, it looks as if we can expect more of the same tomorrow.
Yes, that's right, Laura. There's a further yellow weather warning that has come into place for northern and western parts of Scotland. It came into force at 4 o'clock this afternoon and it's due to last until midday tomorrow. Now, the Met Office says this includes warnings of up to 10 centimetres of snow on some higher ground and up to 5 centimetres on some lower ground. There are also warnings of ice and sleet. Now, Aberdeenshire Council says that it doesn't take the decision decision lightly to close schools and that it's expecting more significant snowfall in the coming hours overnight into tomorrow. It says that its roads team of around 250 people have been working throughout the day to try to clear routes, and that they'll continue to work through the night to try to make sure they're clear. Aberdeen Council also says that it has its gritters out on primary and secondary routes. So I think it's really fair to say that we could expect to see continued school closures tomorrow, some continued disruption, and the advice really remains the same: to check the forecast, to drive safely and to take extra time for your journey.
Indeed. Stay warm, Louise. Thank you. Well, there's going to be more on this story on the brand new Reporting Scotland News at 7 programme, which is launching tonight. It's over on the BBC Scotland channel at 7 o'clock, just after we finish here. And Amy Irons is here to tell us more. This is exciting. What can people expect?
It certainly is, Laura. So we like to think of Reporting Scotland News at 7. It complements this very programme, because in half an hour you can't possibly tell everything from across Scotland, can you? So Reporting Scotland News at 7 gives us that chance to get to the heart of communities, to tell more local stories, to celebrate those local areas as well. So as we saw tonight, Louise in Aberdeen, the weather has been a big story, as we know. So tonight we're going to be in Dumfries at a warm hub, and we're going to also have somebody on from Energy Action Scotland to give us some real practical tips. How do we get those energy bills down? How do we stay warm when we know the weather's going to be as tough as it is over the next couple of months? And you're maybe not thinking about wild water swimming, are you, in January? Probably not, but a couple of people who are. Greg Hemphill and Jules Wilson-Nimmo, their new series Wild Swim is back on our tellies tonight, so we will be hearing from them as well, and we'll have all the day's sport as well. We can't possibly miss that.
Absolutely, good stuff. Listen, good luck with it all. We will be watching. Thank you, Amy. And if you want to know how to watch the new programme, Reporting Scotland News at 7, it is on the BBC Scotland channel at 7 o'clock. All the details of where to find that on your TV now. It will also be on iPlayer. And the team are keen to hear from you, the audience. The email address to reach them on is news7@bbc.co.uk. To some of the day's other stories now. And a man has admitted attempting to murder his wife by driving over her with a car twice. William Budge attacked his wife Sandra in the Muirhouse area of Edinburgh in April last year. The High Court in Edinburgh heard Budge targeted her the month after she had left him, while he also admitted assaulting her on previous occasions. Sentence was deferred for background reports. A man has appeared in court accused of a bomb hoax after flights were briefly grounded at Kirkwall Airport in Orkney. The airport suspended operations on Saturday morning following a report of a threatening communication. 20-year-old Ross Buchan of Dundee appeared in private at the city's Sheriff Court. He was also accused of threatening or abusive behaviour as well as sexual offences. He made no plea and was remanded in custody. And an earthquake with a magnitude of 2.9 has been felt across parts of western Scotland. The epicentre was in Kinloch, about 19 miles northwest of Oban. The tremor was recorded yesterday evening, just before 9 o'clock. It was felt in Strontian and across to Mull, Oban and surrounding villages, but wasn't powerful enough to cause damage. Now, one of the richest men in the world and soon to be an American government official, Elon Musk, has faced criticism from the Prime Minister and First Minister. It's over posts he's made on his social media site X, which relate to child grooming gangs in parts of England. It comes as John Swinney also warned opposition parties at Holyrood not to block his government's budget, as it could play right into the hands of Musk and other populists. Our political editor Glenn Campbell has more.
New Year, renewed calls from the First Minister for budget backing because he warns failure would cause
real damage to the very fabric of our public services, real damage inflicted on some of the most vulnerable in our land.
The First Minister's also worried about the political consequences.
If the budget doesn't pass, then I think we're playing right into the hands of Elon Musk and to other populists. I think we're playing right into their hands because we're demonstrating, or the political system is demonstrating, that it can't address people's day-to-day concerns.
Take over, Elon Musk is about to become part of President Trump's administration and has repeatedly intervened in UK politics, clashing with Sir Keir Starmer and the former First Minister Humza Yousaf. The Scottish Conservatives say Mr Swinney's populism fears are preposterous, and they're making clear they'll not be voting for his budget.
Well, we've been attempting to engage with Mr Swinney to put forward a meaningful alternative, which is to cut taxes for hard-working Scots so that they keep more of the money they earn, to cut taxes on businesses and to help home buyers. But he's not shown the remotest interest in engaging with us in a meaningful way.
Scottish Labour's calling for a new political direction in Scotland.
Well, I know John Swinney's not popular and his government's not popular, but their party has been the definition of populism in terms of that brand of politics over the last 17 years. And the other reality is the SNP government have been passing budgets for 17 years and things continue to get worse for people here in Scotland.
John Swinney says he's confident he will get a budget through, and that probably means a deal with the Greens or the Liberal Democrats. Several weeks of haggling and horse trading lie ahead. Glenn Campbell reporting, Scotland, Edinburgh.
Richard Gadd, the Scottish writer and creator of the Netflix hit Baby Reindeer, has triumphed at the Golden Globes in Los Angeles. The dark comedy was named Best Limited Series, with Gadd accepting the award. His co-star Jessica Gunning also secured her first win for the Best Female Supporting Actress in the television category.
I think for a while now there's been this kind of belief in television that stories that are too dark and complicated won't sell and no one will watch them. So I hope that Baby Reindeer has done away with that theory, because I think right now, when the world's in the state that it's in and people are really struggling, we need stories that speak to the complicated and difficult nature of our times.
A refugee charity is urging people to donate their old bikes to help new arrivals in Scotland. Set up 9 years ago in Edinburgh, Bikes for Refugees has around 50 volunteers who fix donated bicycles and gift them to refugees and asylum seekers to help tackle isolation. With more than 300 households on the charity's waiting list, it's hoped New Year donations will have a big impact on people's lives.
A simple thing like a bicycle, can have a massive impact. If you're an asylum seeker, you're not allowed to work, you're not allowed to claim state benefits. You're given an allowance of £7 a day for food, clothes, toiletries and expensive public transport costs. In Glasgow and Edinburgh, that's almost your daily allowance. So a simple thing like a bicycle can really help with people's resettlement.
Tonight's main news again. More than 100 schools across Aberdeenshire, Moray and the Highlands were closed today because of the snow and poor road conditions.
Still to come in the sport, we hear from the Glasgow Warriors camp ahead of their Champions Cup clash with Racing 92.
Now, when Fort George was built near Inverness after the Battle of Culloden, the wearing of Highland dress was banned as a way of suppressing clans loyal to Bonnie Prince Charlie. But now, more than 250 years on, with the army set to move out of the 18th century military base in a few years' time, there are plans to bring it into community ownership and make it into a centre for tartan weaving. Andrew Thompson has more.
In the aftermath of the Battle of Culloden, this huge fortress was built at great expense to help control the unruly Highlands. Many Scottish soldiers have paraded here over the years, and while war has never come directly to these walls, there are many relics of past episodes of British military history. These guns at Fort George have never been fired in anger, and the army's now set to leave here in 2032, and it's unclear what will happen to this vast site in the future. Across on the other side of the Murray Firth at the Prickly Thistle Textile Mill in Eventon, a new plan is being woven for the fortress. Talks are taking place about the possibility of a form of community ownership for parts of Fort George, which could allow a variety of small-scale industries based on traditional skills like these to move in.
I think I'm very, very lucky in that this is the only place in the Highlands of Scotland that you can weave tartan. The thought of being able to give that to other people and create other micro mills, other industries or other parts of the industry is so important.
The mills also started a campaign to get geographically protected status for Highland tartan. It would work in the same way as the Harris Tweed trademark. It's hoped this could encourage other small mills to spring up at Fort George.
At the moment, there is no serious contenders or ideas being put on the table for the future use. And considering that's probably only about 7 years away, that's not that long. And we feel that with gaining this Act of Parliament to recognise the role of tartan in the Highlands, we could absolutely take on this amazing 42-acre site.
When Fort George was built, laws were in place restricting the wearing of Highland dress, so there's a certain irony about having tartan weaving at the site, which is in need of a new future.
Somebody needs to be in the complex, keeping an eye on it, looking after it. Anything that can be brought in there is going to be great for the future of the building, and it's such a big site that it can almost take anything that you want to put into it.
We have the passion to do it, we have the drive to do it. This is the home of tartan. Let's use a facility that's, they're ready for us. It's got the space, it's got the capacity. Why wouldn't we?
Andrew Thompson, reporting Scotland, Fort George.
Now, it is an annual tradition at one of Scotland's most famous galleries. Every January, the National Galleries of Scotland display their collection of Turner watercolours. But this year, for the first time, they've exchanged their collection with the National Gallery of Ireland. Our arts correspondent Pauline McLean reports on what is a historic swap.
Henry Vaughan spent his life collecting works by Turner and divided them between 3 galleries in London, Edinburgh and Dublin. These belong to the National Gallery of Ireland, who, for the first time, have exchanged their collection with Scotland.
This is from Turner's first visit to Edinburgh in July 1801, the first 2 weeks in July. And as you can see, he maybe wasn't that lucky with the weather. There's a spectacular storm cloud just rolling in across the horizon.
Some like this view of Edinburgh on public view here for the first time since Turner painted it. An apt way to mark his 250th anniversary in 2025.
Turner's work is very varied. So, the watercolours in the Vaughan bequest span his 50-year career. And I think almost there's a Turner for everybody, whether you like really detailed work or whether you like beautiful, expressive, quickly painted, washy watercolours. There's something here for you. And also the colours are so life-enhancing in the sometimes dark month of January.
And it's thanks to Vaughan that 200 years on, these vibrant colours live on. It's a new twist to a familiar exhibition, which has brightened the darkest winter days since 1901 and runs at the Royal Scottish Academy until the end of January. Pauline McLean reporting Scotland, Edinburgh.
OK, let's get tonight's sport now with Lewis, and speculation continues about the future of one particular player.
It certainly does. Who doesn't love a good transfer rumour? Football fans love it. We can't get enough. Thanks very much, Laura. Hello there. Yes, it is the first big transfer story of the January window, but both the Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta and Celtic boss Brendan Rodgers have refused to discuss a possible return to Parkhead for defender Kieran Tierney. The Premiership leaders have opened talks about re-signing the Scotland international, whose contract at Arsenal expires at the end of the season. Arteta was tight-lipped on the story at a media conference this afternoon, while Rodgers was furious at some fans who chanted Tierney's name during yesterday's game against St Mirren, calling it disrespectful to current left-back Greg Taylor.
Just a word on Kieran Tierney, potentially going back to Celtic. I just wondered if you could give us an update on that.
There's absolutely no news. Kieran is our player.
Kieran Tierney's obviously been heavily linked with the return. Is he one of the deals you want to do? You get any update for us there?
No.
Is he a guy you would be interested in? It's not often a player of his quality becomes available. Huge history at the club.
Well, he's a national player, so clearly I won't speak about it.
Well, Rodgers was also unhappy with some Celtic supporters who jeered their team's early play as leaders widened the gap at the top of the Premiership with a 3-0 victory over St Mirren. Nicholas Kuhn scored twice and defender Austin Trusty was also on the score sheet as Celtic bounced back from last week's Old Firm defeat to Rangers. Speaking of Rangers, their manager Philippe Clement questioned his team's game management after they dropped points in a thrilling 3-3 draw with Hibernian at Easter Road. With the game tied at 2-2, the Glasgow side retook the lead through Hamza Igaman. This finish rounding off a superb hat-trick for the Moroccan, taking him to 11 goals for the season. But the hosts didn't give up and they levelled late on through defender Rocky Bushiri to send the home crowd wild and extend Hibs' unbeaten run to 6 matches.
That's the next step to take with this team, also the game management in those moments. And then you get on a set piece with losing a duel, you get the 3-3 against, and it's totally not what the team deserves today. So in that way, it's a frustrating afternoon.
6-8 weeks ago, do we end up getting the result like that? I don't think we do, so I think it shows how far we've come. Clearly, again, a lot of things to still work on when you look at conceding 3 goals and obviously how we started the game. But as I say, full credit goes to everyone involved for the effort and desire shown.
And this is how the Premiership table looks after yesterday's full card of fixtures. Celtic's lead only temporarily cut. They're now 13 points clear at the top. Dundee United and Aberdeen are tied on 34 points. They both lost yesterday. That's 5 straight defeats for the Dons. A third away win on the bounce for Ross County lifts them up to 9th, but a day to forget for St Johnstone, who are now 8 points adrift after losing to Dundee. To rugby now, and Glasgow Warriors are contenders to win the European Champions Cup, according to their assistant coach, Nigel Carolan. The Scotstoun-based side, who won the URC last season, host French giants Racing 92 on Friday, knowing a win should book their place in the last 16 of the continent's top club competition. That's after a resounding win against Sale, followed by a narrow losing bonus point defeat to Toulon.
And I think we need to believe that we're genuine contenders. We spoke about being genuine contenders in the URC last year, and this year we're talking about being genuine contenders in the Champions Cup. And I think what we've shown, at home against Sale and away against Toulon, even with the teams that we did have out, I think we're showing that we're very competitive. And when we put our full game together, I think we're definitely one of the most exciting teams around.
Tennis, and Scotland's Jacob Fernley has been called up to Great Britain's Davis Cup squad for the first time. He'll join Cameron Norrie, Billy Harris and Neil Skupski for the tie against Japan near Kobe at the end of this month. 23-year-old Fernley from Edinburgh rose more than 500 places in the world rankings last year and made something of a name for himself at Wimbledon when he got through to the second round and won the third set in his eventual defeat to Novak Djokovic. And it has been a promising start to 2025 for Open golfer Robert McIntyre here, who finished tied for 15th at the PGA's Century event in Hawaii. It cements his place at number 14 in the world rankings and sees him pocket a cheque for, get this, $292,000. Certainly not a bad wee earning for a couple of days' work.
Absolutely, a bit of pocket money to start the new year.
We'll take that.
Thanks, Liz.
Cheers, Anna.
Now, with around 700,000 people in Scotland acting as unpaid carers, a community choir has been established with the aim of giving them respite and a break from their responsibilities. Members of the Carers and Co choir have been sharing their stories with Joanne Macaulay.
You gotta be bad, you gotta be bold, you gotta be wiser, you gotta be smart, you gotta be tough, you gotta be stronger.
It's rehearsal time for the Carers and Co choir and their chance to switch off from responsibilities for a couple of hours. Linda Scott became a carer to her husband more than 30 years ago when he had a brain hemorrhage.
When I've had difficult days at home in my caring role and felt maybe down and tearful, if you come in here, it just goes out the window and you're in the space with a supportive crowd of people having fun and making music. It's great.
The musical director of the choir is Kat Brooks, and she says this is fun and therapy.
It's not just a room of respite where you just have biscuits and chat. It's a space where we know that singing is good for you, and it's a space for people who are carers who have a lot of other things going on in their life to do something good for them, to meet other people in the same boat and to build something that's bigger than them.
Remy Boyle is also a carer for his grandchildren. He loves the choir for the kindred spirits he's met and for the pleasure of making music.
We don't always talk about our caring experience with each other because we're here to have a break from that, but to know that there's a level of support there, that other people get what you might be going through because they're going through something similar, it does help. Sometimes I just stop singing and listen to everyone else, and it's just, I think joyful is the word I would use, it's fantastic.
And with the number of carers in Scotland increasing, the services of the choir are likely to be welcome in the future. Joanne Macaulay reporting Scotland, Edinburgh.
OK, let's get that all-important weather forecast now with Christopher. A bit chilly out there, isn't it?
Yes, isn't it just? What a cold start to the year it's been, and the week ahead looks pretty cold.
Blue skies, but also the risk of some sleet and snow showers. Lovely picture there from one of our weather watchers in Shetland. Laura, thanks very much indeed. Good evening to you. Yes, we've had quite a cold start to the week, haven't we? And there has been a fair amount of snow in places. You know, last night, as we mentioned, minus 13.3, the coldest night of winter so far. And those winter hazards still with us as we head overnight tonight and tomorrow. That's the Met Office yellow warning we've been talking about. Notice where it isn't, though. Central and southern and southeastern parts largely dry. But where we have the warning, the risk of some fairly frequent rain, sleet and snow showers, some icy conditions, strong to gale force winds around the north and northeast coast. For many, it's sub-zero temperatures on the thermometer. Where we have snow on the ground, it will be colder than that. So it is a cold start to the day tomorrow. You'll see this little trough here, this feature of sleet and snow moving its way southwards. By the time it reaches the central belt, it's just cloud, really. And that means for most tomorrow across central and southern Scotland, it's dry, it's sunny, it's cold. There'll be some areas of cloud coming and going at times. North of around Perth is where we'll see most of those wintry showers, and across the inland areas, higher ground, we'll see several centimetres of accumulating snow through the course of the day. On the coast, more likely to be rain or sleet. Still windy, a bitter wind chill. Temperatures on the thermometer there, low single digits, but if you're in the wind, feeling colder than that, obviously. Tomorrow evening, tomorrow night, those north winds driving in showers once again. And once again, it is cold. So this is tomorrow night, sub-zero values in towns and cities. That takes us to midweek. So this is Wednesday and then on towards Friday. High pressure trying to move in from the Atlantic, just quietening things down, drying things up, but it's still cold. Here's Wednesday. The winds are lighter, the showers not as frequent, but most of them once again across northern parts of the country, perhaps drifting down the west coast at times. Central and southern areas dry, some sunshine. 2 degrees about the best we'll see. If you're in any breeze, it really will feel cold. But beyond that, yes, it's cold and wintry for the end of the week. Into the weekend, something more in the way of cloud, a little bit milder, perhaps some rain too. That's the forecast for now.
It's looking lovely though, isn't it? Thank you, Christopher. Now tonight's main news again. Some pupils had to wait for their first day back after the holidays as snow closed more than 100 schools across Aberdeenshire, Moray and the Highlands. And First Minister John Swinney has warned opposition MSPs that if they fail to back his budget, it will play right into the hands of Elon Musk and other populists. And just a reminder, the new programme Reporting Scotland News at 7 is about to start on the BBC Scotland channel at 7 o'clock. All the details of where to find that on your TVs right now, and it will be also on the iPlayer. And that is Reporting Scotland for now. I will have your late news at around 10:30 tonight. Until then, from everyone on the team, enjoy your evening. Good night.